3, 2, 1, and we are live. What's up, cannabis connoisseurs? It is 20 past 4, and you're watching Backdoor Marketing with Jessica. I'm your host, Jessica. Today we have a particularly special guest. Guys, please welcome CEO of Kaya Herb House, Balram Vaswani. He's going to join us in just a moment here. I'm going to go ahead and request him on the live right now. So, if you give me one moment, guys, we're just going to go ahead and request to join the live. Kaya Inc. And if you guys want to check out Kaya Inc., kaya.inc, you can check out kaya.inc on Instagram. What's up, CJ? What's up, Marco? I see everybody joining the live right now. I am requesting view request. Nope, that's not him. 1 second, guys. We're requesting Kaya. Kaya, if you can go ahead and if you follow my finger, go straight up and you'll see Kaya joins us on Backdoor Marketing. Tap the little down arrow right there and you can request to join the live. For some reason, it's not going through on my end, so we'll just go ahead and pick it up from there. Just tap on the little down arrow right here and request to join the live. I'll see your request and bring you in. What's up, everybody? Hello, Kaya. Hello. Oh, I see Vaswani from your own personal Instagram. That's awesome. What's up, Ugly Chucky? Hello, CJ Malone, Marco. All right, I see kaya.com.inc requesting right now. 3, 2, 1, and we are live. What's up, cannabis connoisseurs? You are watching Backdoor Marketing with Jessica, and I'm your host, Jessica. What's up? How are you, Bali? Very pleased to see you live.
Hey, Jessica, how are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to have you.
No, it's good to connect and look forward to things ahead.
Fantastic backdrop. I love it. Okay, so first of all, can you share with our
Can you turn
community
it down?
yourself? I would love to know, just from your own voice, a little bit about yourself, your background, and your role with Kaya.
Yes, I'm the Chairman and Chief Ganja Officer of Kaya. A little bit about my background. After graduating in Miami, I went into investment banking, working with Morgan Stanley, UBS, and Weber, moving to Hong Kong in investment banking. My forte into marijuana is when I moved back to Jamaica. We formed the first two cable channels in Jamaica. We copied MTV and we did RETV, the first reggae entertainment television, and then we copied CNN and did GNN and first 24-hour news channel. After that, it was acquired by the RGR Group Communications, and had the opportunity while being the CEO of Marley Coffee to move to Denver. While in Denver, I got to see marijuana go from medical to recreational, and that was really the forte of how my stepping stone is of coming into it, and from there lobbying and coming back to Jamaica.
So for those that don't, and by the way, that was a very impressive background resume. What is Kaya as a brand and a business? This is for the U.S. market, obviously, for our street demographic that may not be familiar with a brand in Jamaica. How would you describe Kaya as a brand and a business?
Well, Kaya's authentic lifestyle brand. We take each part of it takes in evolve parts of the culture. Jamaica is one of the five meccas in the world in terms of where ganja came from. If you look at India, Jamaica, Afghanistan, Thailand, these were the sources and the meccas of where it is. We thought it would be the right thing to every single part, everything that we do, we take a part of that culture within the brand.
And how exactly did Kaya begin? Because we're going to get into a little bit of the roots of all the different moving parts of Kaya, but it's a really interesting place, and we don't have anything like that in the U.S. So I love what you guys are doing there. How exactly did you guys start?
But it's really Kaya is a retail complex. So the concept was when the laws were being formed, we were following what was in Amsterdam to do coffee houses. So you would have thought that you went into a coffee house, you purchased, and then you kind of went in. Jamaica, that it's medical, not recreational. They took a different alternative, so you can't actually mix food and beverage with marijuana, but you can consume on premise. So the difference between a dispensary and a herb house is that we can consume on premise. So we have a smoke room, we have a dab bar, So within the store and on the outside, our non-medicinal areas has the actual coffee shop, which was ready, for it, and pizzeria and bar outside. So you kind of get a mix of match. You can move around the property. So it's not just like walking to a store, picking up your weed and walking right back out. The typical spend, like when we had our shops in Denver, was like 45 seconds to 3 minutes. Our average spend of time
Right.
is an hour and a half here.
What a beautiful concept. I love the diversity that you have on the premises. What is the culture of Kaya? If from a firsthand perspective, if I was to go to Kaya, what does it feel like?
Well, I mean, I think the greatest thing about Kaya is that it's very inclusive. From the taxman all the way to the billionaire will feel the same. It's very inclusive. It's made, everything was taken into culture using Jamaican wood, Jamaican, like theme, bring that back, but it's done best quality, setting the best standard, and we've kind of set the standard in terms of it. So, the real vibe is that, you could end up coming in and seeing popcorn, Beanie Man, coffee, and then you could flip and then you could be hanging out with ministers and stuff like that. And then you could just be hanging out where your normal Juta driver driving you around. Is that type of concept where everybody feels at home.
I love the inclusive concept. That's beautiful. So let's get back to, you mentioned the Kaya Herb House, and then there's the Dab Bar and the Consumption Lounge. What is so if you go into the shop first, you buy your product, and then you move to a secondary room where basically you have your consumption, the Dab Bar. What is the difference between the consumption and the Dab Bar and the Herb House?
Well, I mean, the smoke lounge is, like from the, Cannabis Licensing Authority is designated smoking area for consumption, exhaust fans, etc., pulling out the smoke. I mean, with the dabs and stuff like that, it's a vape. So, that's a completely different bar and completely different, trend of how it's, done. So in Jamaica, it wasn't as prevalent of how it was in the US. So you take, for example, smoking pipes and stuff like that, and dabbing was not like a norm here. So, that's an, give or take in the tourist location, the Ocharias and Falmouth would be more prominent in Kingston. But obviously during the pandemic, people are open to trying stuff, finding what it is, and, and finding that balance. But, dabbing was a relatively new thing in Jamaica.
So, okay, so one thing that I'm really excited about is your pizza shop. It's the Kaya Pizza and Cafe. So I did a little bit of research. I saw some of the things that people were eating on some of the videos from the firsthand perspectives. All amazing reviews. You guys have fantastic reviews about your food. Can you tell us a little bit about the menu, and then what is your favorite thing on the menu?
Yeah, part of the thing about it is just hanging out, like if you move from place to place, resist to have pizza. But in Jamaica, you think that it's everywhere, but as a typical munchie food to get thin crust pizza, like is difficult. So we've like, mastered the style of thin crust, Neapolitan pizzas, and the ability to cook in 90-second cooking time at 900 degrees, is like nice in terms of Jamaica when things, usually take pretty long. There's a saying, soon come. This one we actually try to get it to you on time.
Now, what do you order? What do you order at when you go to your pizza, Kaya Pizza and Cafe?
I mean, I love a good margarita with arugula.
Yeah, a margarita with arugula. That sounds amazing. So you also have a music section. So how important is music to Kaya, and what is the music culture like there?
Yeah, no, but I mean, the musical culture, I mean, imagine how far reggae has taken to it in terms of how much Rastas have fought for it from, the greats of Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Jacob Miller, Lee, sorry, the late recent passing of Lee Scratch Perry. And every single song is built into the culture. Marijuana is built into the day-to-day culture of Jamaicans. So, music is a prominent part, and each one of our stores can facilitate up to 1,000 people. So, from the first time we opened our first store on March 10, 2018, that would be probably like your 420, because there was no date that said what would be the first legal sale. So in Jamaica, March 10, 2018, and having the first sale and starting the first dispensary in the Caribbean was kind of our 420, our holiday of saying, what day does this really start? And it becomes reality. We had Kimani Marley, Tutsin Michael, Kes Namdi, John Ine. In our Kingston location, we had Kimani Marley do the opening. In Falmouth, we had Beanie Man. 2 weeks before the pandemic, we had Popcorn, Jesse Royal, Chronics. These are the biggest names in Jamaica.
So I mean that's amazing. You guys sound like you have some incredible brands that come through there, like brands as musical brands that come through there. Do any of the brands of the musical brands or any of the musical talents really stick out in your mind? Who was a really prominent musical act that you experienced?
I think one that put the most pressure, but it's somebody who's been dear to my heart. Of somebody like where when living in London and you hear reggae music every Sunday and you listen to Rodigan, as a kid growing up and he's still doing it till today. We had Dubwise and we did our launches across Jamaica by doing two shows, of Rodigan from London and in Ochi and in Kingston. And it was just, I mean, the experience of having nearly 1,800 people in the Kingston location, the energy was just, I mean, that's a 10.
1,800 people. That is amazing. How many people does one of your locations actually hold?
I mean, each of them are, our Ochi location is a little less than, 2 acres, our Kingston location is a little over an acre, but it's spread out with, a lot of gardens surrounding the property.
And that's the Square Grouper Bar?
Well, the bars, we didn't really want to have a typical rum bar. We're a herb house. It's about the herbs and stuff like that to find the right thing. We wanted to make it more of a smuggler's bar. So in Jamaica, like when we used to fly the planes to Miami and kick the bales out of the plane, the bales that used to drop in, if you go fishing if you go fishing at 3 o'clock in the morning, people say you're looking for square groupers. That was the concept behind the bar. So it's more of a smuggler's bar.
Got it. Oh, that's very cool. So, seeing as how you guys were so prominent in music before the COVID, how did COVID affect you? How was Kaya affected during COVID?
I mean, just like any other business, you have to completely adapt. I mean, you're living in a society where tourism is the main driver of the business. You're having a drop off of 90% tourists on the island, and then remaining 10% that says I'm going to actually just stay in Jamaica and not go back to the US or London. And you have to learn how to adapt to every single thing. I mean, getting used to the mask, getting used to the protocols, getting used to the sanitizing. How many people? So it's moved from 10 people to 50 people, back down to 10 people. So you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to change with it, and you never know what's going to come the next day. But you know, we stayed open, Monday to Sunday during the entire pandemic, or for any other days that, were mandatory lockdowns, but we decided to take the hard route and do it. But what we've done is adapted to the local culture, been there with them and kind of been a, I don't know if it's, what the right word is, but that one place when you get to leave your house and get that 5 minutes of just getting that like breath that, like things are okay, that energy, that space, kind of gave that, that feeling to people when they could come out, just pick up a takeout pizza, come in for a pre-roll or whatever, or just leave. We provided that, homing because, during this thing, being locked up in an apartment, I mean, it's a serious thing.
I love that. It's like a home away from home. And for people in the area that go to Kaya and that are loyal to Kaya, I'm sure it felt amazing having some place to go back to when things were crazy in the world and feel like at least it remained the same, or at least it remained familiar, which is amazing. I love that you guys did that. So what going back to you mentioned a moment ago the culture in Jamaica and the culture of cannabis. How do you think, because I do want to reiterate a point that we made earlier. Um, Kaya was the first legal dispensary in not just Jamaica, but the Bahamas, correct?
No, in the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean. So how do you think Kaya had an effect on the culture of cannabis in Jamaica particularly?
Well, I mean, anybody that was coming to Jamaica for any year before would have just thought that weed is legal. I mean, you can go to any street corner, you can pick up a $5 bag, a $10 bag. You can go to NUGL, pick up an ounce for $100, just like street weed or outdoor weed. Weed, I mean, it's not like something difficult. And the laws, until they were changed, were, minor in terms of the fine. The problem is that you'd be arrested, guaranteed if you're caught with it. And, the fine was only like $2 US, at the time. And anyway, after decriminalization, I think the biggest thing that Kaya did was regularize what this industry is. Forest farmers, everybody has an opportunity to make it. And, Jamaica in its past has given away some of our best industries. We're a country of bauxite, but we don't have any of the plans to make, aluminum. You'd look for it. So, like Ganja is the last thing left, like for Jamaica where we can maintain it, grown in Jamaica, product of Jamaica, exported from Jamaica. Jamaica brand represent like a $3.2 billion just in terms of the brand outside. Look at brands of Red Stripe, Sandals, these brands that have expressed Usain Bolt, like who could not have a presence of what Jamaica is. So like taking Ganja, I could see like a Jamaica element of Kaya in every dispensary across the world. That's a little segment of bringing that thing, having that same buzz when you went to Jamaica, felt good. You were on the beach, you had your honeymoon, you had your wives, it brings back a feeling. The good outdoor, organic weed, kind of does that and brings you to that feeling. And, having over 75 genetics, you have, a variety of 15 different strains every 2 weeks.
And taking the criminal element or the criminalization of and the negative stigma away from cannabis, I think that having some place like Kaya where people can call it home away from home and run into the same familiar faces with a positive experience and not having to feel as if you're doing something wrong in the eyes of the law, it really shows. I think it shows a broader perspective of the positive culture of cannabis. So I love that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
imagine
I
the
do have a
comfort
question
of
for
being a,
you.
sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
No, I was just saying, imagine the feeling of being stopped by the police on a highway. You take it out, you have your weed, you have a receipt, you have your medical card, and you have it, and you just, and that fear and that paranoia and stuff, just disappear and dissolves. That's an amazing feeling.
Absolutely. And then just accompanying it by good vibes and the music and the food, and it becomes an experience instead of, something you have to do in a back alley or, behind closed doors, just having a positive connotation about it instead of being looked at in a negative light. I love that you're
Correct.
bringing it more to the mainstream. I love that you're incorporating music and food and culture and the social activity. It's really a beautiful thing that you guys are making it such a positive social experience. So kudos to you guys. Big ups to you guys.
Thanks.
So I do have a question for you. For those of us who have never been to Jamaica, I've never been to Jamaica. It's been on the top of my list for a very long time. And for those of us who have never been to Jamaica, if you had to describe the culture and the feeling of Jamaica right now, post COVID, now that things are being decriminalized, what does the culture of Jamaica feel like today?
I mean, Jamaica is just a cool place. I mean, what better to have like the beach and the sand? You have waterfalls all over the place. You have blue mountains that go up 4,500 feet. Where you can get the colder weather. You can slip across to the other side to the black sands. I mean, Jamaica, or just drop into the hippie part of Jamaica, which is NUGL, which there's no stop signs, there's no stop lights. You're on a scooter and it's basically like Ibiza or Tulum and that energy. And Jamaica has a little bit of everything. Within 3 hours, you can change your entire experience. You know, so I think you know, you know, it's sad of how the pandemic hits. But I mean, being stuck in a place where you have these kind of natural resources and stuff like that, you don't really feel as bad because you're much more in an outdoor environment than indoor.
Yeah, that's massively important, just to get people off of their phones, off of their devices and their computers and the television, and getting people outside is a beautiful thing. Especially coming from a place like, well, currently I'm in Washington, so I don't have that experience right now, but in places like Los Angeles, where you're kind of in a concrete jungle in certain areas, going to some place like Jamaica and then having an experience going someplace like Kaya just sounds like such an expressive, um, eye-opening, relaxing experience. I love it so much. So I can't wait to go to Kaya. By the way, you want to tell us a little bit about the two different locations you guys have right now and the differences between the two?
Well, we're currently at the first one that we opened, which is in Ocho Rios. It's the first stop off the highway, basically in between Ocho Rios and Abin. So you are northeast of the parish, and you're centrally located between Montego Bay and Kingston, from the two main airports. The second location we opened in Falmouth is next door to the Royal Caribbean cruise ship here in Falmouth, which is 20 minutes away from Montego Bay. And then the third one we opened was in Kingston, located in the Golden Triangle, which is next door to the Governor General's house, Bob Marley Museum, AC Hotel, and Devon House, which is like the direct center of Kingston.
And you're also still involved with Marley Coffee, correct?
Yes, I'm still the interim CEO.
I am obsessed with coffee, first of all. So I love everything that you're doing. That's amazing. So how is the coffee going? And or do you guys have it? Is that what you serve at the coffee house or at
Yes,
the?
yeah, we only serve Marley coffee. Obviously, Blue Mountain Coffee was the first specialty coffee in the world. Rowan took a time in the Marley family to, develop the brand which we worked. The, having the ability to have, good coffee, like here and, incorporating it, I think is a special part of just the experience by itself. Jamaica has, one of the best coffees in the world. I mean, you're looking at, 70 US for a pound of coffee.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah,
70 US dollars for a pound of coffee?
correct.
That better be some good coffee.
One of the best.
Man, I better be flying for a few days on that one. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm really looking forward to trying that. Really looking forward
Well,
to trying that. You caught my
well,
attention.
well, hopefully in the future we'll make it, the laws will change to allow edibles so we could have CBD shots or CBD infused coffee or THC infused, that's our hope for the next phase of this whole, part. That's the only part left in Jamaica. Edibles are the last component to be fitted into the regulation.
I have to say that is something that I personally do. I put CBD in my coffee. I have CBD honey that I use, and I put it directly in my coffee, and it's amazing. Um, so we do have some very cool things coming up with Kaya. I'm so excited to be involved with a production like yourselves. I love that you guys incorporate music and coffee and the entertainment value and the social aspect. So next week we actually have another interview. We're going to do a deep dive with your first location. And the second, in 2 weeks, I believe we're going to do another deep dive into your second location. So I'm really looking forward to that. Bali, it's been such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for taking the time
So we are
and
really
for
excited
the
to work.
team showing you the next location.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to it. And we're super
Yeah,
excited to work together and looking forward to the next couple of weeks of interviews to get a firsthand experience as to Kaya's locations. And as for those out there in NUGL land, thank you so much for being here. Tune in next week, next Friday at 4:20 as always. And if you'd like to check out Kaya, I highly recommend it. They have a beautiful website. You can go to kayaherbhouse.com and stay tuned. And for all the updates and for all things NUGL, definitely check into NUGLmagazine.com. We have some really, really big, exciting things coming up, not just with NUGL, but a few announcements to make with Kaya as well. So definitely stay tuned. And for all of you out there in NUGL land, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next week. Bali, again, pleasure, my dear. And I will
thanks so
talk to you
much.
very soon.
Bye bye.
All right, guys, over and out.